you want to get out of today after kind of what happened on Monday? What was kind of the goals today?
Just to continue to work the habits and the stuff that we're doing. You take a look at Monday, and there's multiple perspectives that you can look at. You can focus on all the negative. You could also focus on the positive of what we were able to go out and build there. And you can focus on the habits of what we've gotten over the course of the season where that relatively doesn't happen to us. And so, I thought it was important to understand that it's a learning opportunity. Kind of, creates a little bit of hunger, a little bit of humility, but at the same time, we got to just continue to work on the details on both ends of the floor and continue to develop good habits. So it was the first time we've been out there on the court in a while. I've been doing just a lot of walkthroughs, a lot of film, so it was good to be out there.
Said a couple times you have to expect the team's going to come back. When they're down 20, it happens. However many times.
Bucks game last night?
Yeah, and what is the key to making? Obviously, taking your foot off the gas is human nature, but what does it kind of take mentally, or just even in your approach in a game like that, to manage that lead?
Well, I think first of all, acknowledging the fact that we more times than not this season haven't taken our foot off the gas, and so you can't just fall into recency bias and think that this is something habitual. So in order to have it not habitual, you got to have an awareness of it. So more times than not, that doesn't happen. At the same time, the way the game is played, it's a combination of everything. It's defending the three-point line, it's offensive rebounding, it's live ball turnovers, it's not fouling, and then it's fighting for your execution, even when things have become so easy for you. Whether it's in the first half. And so it's just a combination of all those things, and you just got to kind of work those things through and do the best you can to minimize those,
Where is the balance? Is there a balance between poise, not overreacting, but also having a sense of urgency in those situations?
I think the sense of urgency comes from, just your execution on both ends of the floor. And so I think all those kind of play in together. Your sense of urgency and poise should be connected. You should try to keep that as long as you can. So I think they're all kind of, intertwined into that.
How's Jrue doing? Could he be a go tomorrow?
He could be, yeah. I practiced today, doing some contact now, so we'll kind of see how he responds to it. But, he's getting better.
Joe, the last play with Jalen, when he took the three, what was supposed to happen there? How much independence do you give those two guys just to create on their own?
Yeah.
They see something. How does that go? What should have happened there?
So when Jalen got the ball, the first thing that came to my mind was he's one of our best straight line drivers. It's one of the best things he does. This is a great opportunity to just drive the ball. Mm-hmm. But I have to be better at making sure we're on the same page, getting to the spacing. It was obviously loud in there, but saying what was supposed to happen, we don't know. But ideally, when Jalen has the ball in that situation, we want to give him as much space as possible so he can work to create. And I know JT was trying to pin in for Capella on the other side of that. But I reiterated to Jalen today, hey, you have the ball in a situation like that. We should be thinking space. You should be thinking drive. It's one of the best things you do. So just got to clean that up.
This much time in a city, are you guys doing team building activities? Is that necessary, important?
Practice is team building, so we had that. Like I said, building a connection, being out there on the floor together. Some guys are from here. So we had a dinner set up after the game. Guys went to the G League game yesterday, so plenty of different things to be able to build that connection. But nothing better than getting out there on the practice court together.
Going back to that Jalen thing you were just saying, those especially Jalen and Jason, they have a bag. They know how they play for a long time. But do you ever notice they're kind of getting the habits that are not productive or just kind of on a weird rhythm, and you take time during the season to kind of sit down and reevaluate, here are the ways you're getting into the stuff you usually do that's not really working, and try to work through that?
I would say this year they've gone down the road of more of better habits than they have in their career, and so there's been very few moments to where those habits have kind of let them down, so to speak. You know what I mean? And so I think their growth and the habits that they've been building, and really the recognition of every single possession on both ends of the floor, has drastically improved because of the work that they put in. So they've minimized those a ton, and I think it's just continuing to work at those.
And when they get into a funk, usually it's pretty short-lived. Do they work with the positional coaches and do film study for that, or do you feel like it's a lot of it just they kind of identify that on their own?
No, it's both. It's a little bit of everything. Right? They identify it on their own. They're both great processors. They're both very coachable guys, so they spend a lot of time in the film room with their positional coach. And then it's conversations. Maybe in that particular moment, Jalen didn't hear me, or we didn't hear. I have to be a better job of being on the same page. But you always got to know, you got to empower your best players to go make a play at the end of the game. There's nothing better than he does than straight line driving people in their matchup. And I thought even some of the times when Matthews was pressuring Tatum, needed less of a pick and roll and more ability, space to just drive like we did against Asumu in Chicago. So it's just constant conversation, constant communication about where we can get better and what we're doing well and things that they see on the floor.
Big topic in the news right now, the gambling controversies going around sports, and you know, even just kind of the impact it's had on the game as a whole. JB Bickerstaff said some things. I'm not sure if he saw that. You know, his family kind of getting threatened over it. How do you just feel about that climate being around the game right now, and just that being a thing that kind of hangs over sports?
I put zero thought into it. Doesn't really matter. Spread's been around a long time, even when I played. So it's part of the game, you know. Yeah, it's you got to take the good with the bad, right? The betting is one of the reasons why the league is as lucrative as it is, and why the opportunities that we have with you know, the amount of money that's being made for a bunch of different people. And so with everything, there's a positive and a negative to every situation. So it's just understanding the consequences, and that's the same thing with winning. When winning comes, there's a responsibility to it, and it can be just as difficult as losing if you don't handle it the right way. So I think it's just kind of the balance that you have to have. Is like with every single thing that brings a positive, there's going to be a negative that comes with it, and it's how you manage it and, you know, how you deal with it.
Have you dealt with any fans or anything like that, like yelling at you or yelling?
Oh
at
yeah, the prop bets are the best.
Yeah,
Those are the best.
NCAA guy, I think, just said he wants to get rid of prop bets down at the college
Really?
level. Yeah.
No, I enjoy hearing the guys yelling about prop bets.
Yeah.
That's a fun one.
Was Xavier able to go through practice today? I know Xavier.
Yeah.
But with prop bet heckling, it's like people heckle always, right?
Yeah.
Has it really changed since gambling? Is it just that they're yelling different stuff?
I think they're just yelling different stuff. I mean, whether they yell to go F yourself or they yell you that you took a guy out so he didn't get his prop bet, it's all the same. You know?
I mean, the same thing, really.
You said you were gonna. Did you look at the turnovers? You weren't sure because they got 20 points off your 9 turnovers. Were they a lot of live ball and
I think 7 of them were live ball.
that's rare. Like
Yeah, and Bogdanovich was 4 for 7 from 3, and 3 of them came in transition off turnovers, and 1 came off a baseline out of bounds. No, 2 of them came off turnovers, 1 off a baseline out of bounds, 1 really hard shot off a pick and roll 3, right? So take a look at some of those threes that they got. But yeah, I think 7 of those were live ball.
is that? Can you really cut that down, or is it happenstance? Them reading passing.
Well, I mean, the
lanes?
baseline out of bounds play at the end of the quarter is obviously one that you want to try not to have. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So, like, there's obviously ones that, you know, you're going to turn the ball over from time to time. You know what I mean? I think we're number 1 in turnover percentage offense. So, you know, you just got to minimize the situational ones that, like, have an impact on the game, you know?
Springer was able to play in Maine yesterday. What was the opportunity? What was that opportunity like for him? What were you hoping to get by sending him down there?
Just reps, continuing to grow. I thought he gave us some good minutes the night before against Atlanta, and just continuing to build his confidence and his execution on what we need to do: defense, crashing, and you know, offensive execution.
Thanks, Joe.